Okay, Facebook is ready when you're ready.
Okay. So are you all ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, step one. You got the timer set to
Yes.
59:59?
Yep.
Okay, hit the switch. Is the light on?
Yes, it is.
Put the clapper in front of your face. When you hit the clapper, you're on the air.
Welcome to Talking Peace with the Western New York Peace Center, being recorded here at Think Twice Radio in the home of the future. Thanks to our great producer and friend, Richard Wicca. Thanks, Richard. And also, we're very happy always to be on WBNY, broadcasting as Buffalo's original alternative radio station, 91.3 FM, from our friends at Buff State. So Buff State is just, we're very grateful and happy to be associated with Buff State and on this wonderful radio station. We're also, I always think, and I'd like to mention that we are on stolen Haudenosaunee land, actually, in particular, the Senecas, and so we do honor them and work for indigenous rights and for life to continue as originally instructed so that life can continue in this creation. And we remember them, our friends, our indigenous friends, and also their custom of being thankful for Mother Earth and for all of the creation, the plants, the animals, the different elements, the different people that, are working together so that life can continue. And we're very excited, too, to bring this show that today will be about Afghanistan in crisis, because the crisis, it has been under siege, been at war for so many, many years. First with the Soviets and then with the U.S. Being occupying, and so now the problems still continue, very, very serious and even worse than ever. So to talk about this, well, first I'll bring out our intern. Sarah Kirschner is a Fordham University MSW student and an intern at the Western New York Peace Center. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here today.
Oh, we're glad you're here. And of course, and I'm very thrilled to have right here in studio, Sameria, Mbili.
Yes.
Hi.
Mbili.
Hi, Sameria.
Hi. I'm glad to be here as well.
Yeah, so we're all really more from afar, trying to learn and trying to see what we can do, and that's when, and especially we'll be learning from Mohammad, who is joining us, who's come from Afghanistan and is now here in Western New York, in Buffalo. So, assalamu alaikum, Mohammad.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you?
Oh, good.
I'm
So
happy to hear.
we're so glad that you could join us tonight because, we're very concerned and we know you can help us understand or know a little better what's going on. So welcome. You're welcome in every way. Before,
Thank you.
Thanks. Tashakur.
Manana.
So one of the things that we like to do at the start is think about values to remember in this conversation. So I'm going to invite Mohammad to start. If you can just think about some value or values that you think of when you think about Afghanistan, about the current situation, and about this conversation. Any values that you want us to remember?
Ma'am, hello?
Yes. So what would be a value that you want to think of, us to think of in this conversation about Afghanistan?
I will talk about the financial situation of Afghanistan, business of Afghanistan, and also about the women rights after takeover of Taliban.
Sure. So economic justice, really, for one thing, and women's rights, human rights, also. Women's rights are human rights, right? So those are
Women and human.
women and what?
Human.
And humans, yes, all of the humans,
Yes.
and certainly people very much,
Especially about women.
especially about women. Thank you, Tashakur. Tashakur, that's Dottie. I'm telling for the audience, or including also for our other guests tonight, that Tashakur is Dottie for thank you, for thanking. Yeah,
Tasha Kaur.
Tashakur. So Sarah, what's a value that you might want us to think of tonight in the conversation?
I think an important value to bring today is just continuous education and learning, just to never be complacent with your thoughts and your beliefs, and just to never stop learning
Sure.
about the issues going on in the community and in the world.
Well, thank you. That's a great one. Lifelong learning. Always be learning. Actually, one of my bosses said if we think more about learning and less about knowing, we'll be a lot happier, because we don't feel that we need to know everything, right? Say, oh, I knew that. No, we need to learn. And we really need to learn about this topic because so many lives are at stake. And we have some real responsibility there. So, Sameria, what's a value or some parts of some values that you like to think about?
Some values that I uphold and I would like to bring to the conversation.
Yeah.
I would say solidarity, justice, and respect for others.
Solidarity, justice, and respect for others. And I am sure that everybody at Peace Action New York State, and especially Peace Action at Canisius College, where you're the student organizer, will be proud and glad and grateful that you brought up all those values.
Yes, especially economic justice, because that's what, we are here to talk about today.
Right, that is a big piece of it. And so the economics of what's going on are very critical. So I just wanted to make sure that, people, we're so thrilled to have a student organizer for Peace Action Canisius College, and especially to have you here with us now.
I'm glad to be here because I need to learn about this situation at hand.
Sure. Well, me too. And I want to learn some more too. So why don't we just start right off with, the economics of it, and especially the money supply that the U.S. has, I would say laid siege to, really, frozen the money supply. And I will just turn it over to you, Mohammad, if you want to just tell us, what is really your view of what's going on with that, with the money supply and the effects of that. Mohammad? Hello? Hello. There you are. There. Did you hear what we said before?
No.
Oh, so the money supply, that what would you tell us about the freezing of the Afghan money supply in New York City, that the United States has frozen the money supply, the central bank's assets so that the Afghan central bank cannot get at any money. What are the effects of that?
That has very bad effect on Afghanistan economics because no businessman can don't have business now in Afghanistan. Therefore, Western Union, MoneyGram, everything is closed in Afghanistan. And this is also had very bad effect on the people of Afghanistan.
Right. Well, I can say that I tried to send money, I think I've mentioned certainly on the show different times, or to most of the people here, that I went to Afghanistan to visit these young people that we had been working with. I went there in 2018. But anyway, recently I tried to send some money there, and it was very difficult for the people to get it. It took so much of the time, as you're saying, that the Western Union or different outlets would be closed, and they have very, very almost no money to give out to people. So it means the economy is at a standstill. People can't buy things. They can't sell things. What happens with the people if they need to buy food? How are they buying food?
Especially, ma'am, my family is in Afghanistan and I am working here, but I can't support them because of there is the frozen of money to send to Afghanistan. And this is a big issue, especially for my family, for all Afghan family, because I am a father of 4 daughters and 1 baby, and they are don't have anything. Just they have money. They all expense the money. ATMs are blocked in Afghanistan. The banks start their business on our people. When you goes to bank, they didn't give you the dollar. They are giving you the Afghani by their choice, by their choice. Therefore, we are faced with more problems.
So how long have you been here in this country?
I was evacuated by U.S. Marine in August, and I'm here in Buffalo from October.
Oh, okay. So back to welcoming you here, which we are so grateful that you are here and that you're on this show. We've just been so concerned, and like I said, because I know some young people and their families, I feel more concerned. But even people who don't know anybody, we do know that people are just suffering so much because of the freezing of the money supply, and that's something that can be changed, by the Biden administration. They decided, I think for bargaining reasons. Have either of you seen anything about that? Why the money supply was frozen? Or if you what would you tell us about why the money supply was frozen? Mohammad.
The money supplies is frozen for therefore the people can't support the government. Now they take over the Afghan government.
Right.
And this was the good deal of Biden administration. Just they frozen all Afghanistan money, which is 9 billion in U.S. banks. Because if they not frozen this money, this will be the hand of Taliban, and they can buy more war equipment like tanks, anything. Just you all knows about Pakistan. Pakistan especially support the Taliban, and they don't believe in human rights or something. Just they are saying, and this was the good, but the big effect is this, that more people, they are living in Europe, Arabic countries and US, and they have family in Afghanistan. But they can't see money. If they are seeing money through MoneyGram, there is the bank like Azizi Bank, Kabul Bank, other banks. When you send the dollar, they are not giving dollar to your family. They are giving Afghani, and the dollar is in the market 100 Afghani, but they are giving them 90 Afghani.
Mm-hmm.
All
Right.
families are, but from USA we can't see money.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big, bad effect of this program.
Right. It's just so difficult. So what about the food? You know, can I ask, first of all, let me just ask Sarah or Sameria, when you've done some research, did you see anything about that?
Yeah, I did see how some of the kids were malnutrition, and they didn't have, like, some of the babies couldn't live.
Right.
So that's something that really just touched me when I saw it. Like, I couldn't even watch the video.
Right. No, of course. And Sarah?
Yeah. I mean, I think just speaking on like the freezing of the assets, I think going back to that, the US did that in order because of the Taliban wanting to, stop them. But the problem is the people are suffering. And then looking at the research that I did, the people who are suffering are women and children. And it's estimated that 1 million children under 5 years old are going to die just this winter alone, which those are the people that are suffering because of the freezing of the assets and the sanctions.
Right, and the sanctions. So Mohammad, can I ask you, what would you tell us about the sanctions also?
What, Ben?
Do you know about sanctions? That there are certain sanctions that the U.S. has put on Afghanistan also?
Yes, this was the good deal of Biden administration with Taliban. If Taliban agree with US or other countries to human rights, especially girls' educations, and then they deal with them, that was better. But if they not deal and they are looking for their own, like they're doing with Afghan government, they don't accept any of their and they're doing what they want.
Right.
They finish our military, they finish our national flags, everything they finish.
Mm-hmm.
And they also now announcing that we beat superpower of the world. And I don't know why the Biden administration or the U.S. administration don't announce the reality to the people. What was the reality of Qatar and Doha?
The reality of, what is the last part?
Yes, the reality of Doha agreement with Taliban.
Oh, uh-huh.
What they deal with Taliban, what Mr. Khalilzad deal with Taliban.
Right.
No one knows. Just our president, Mr. Ghani, knows about them, and Mr. Ghani don't have right to speak with any media, with any person, with any newspaper. He is just like in jail.
Right. Well, as far as getting word to the people in Afghanistan, that's one of the things that happens is there's, the ability to communicate may be also, I don't know how it may be very hard, I don't know. I think the internet is not very strong right now, or, how you wonder how the electricity or other things are functioning, which, there have been problems even before. And now the thing about the sanctions is, usually sanctions are things like, we won't trade, we won't let other allies trade with different countries if we put them on this list of they should be getting sanctions. So it becomes something like, if you want to trade with the U.S., then you cannot trade with this country, that country, this country, whichever ones we have sanctions against, right? So I know for Cuba, there's certain percentage. You can't even make a thing that, you know, if it has more than 10% of parts that, you know, there's some percentage of parts that it can't go more than if they want to, you know, any country that wants to trade with us cannot trade with even a small, supply even a small amount of parts for a Cuban manufacturer. So I just wonder if the sanctions now on the sanctions against Afghanistan, what they are, is it to stop other countries trading with Afghanistan?
Yes,
And our companies, our corporations here?
Yes, they already stopped, ma'am. When
Right.
I was in, I guess 15, I was in Afghanistan, and I was in my office when Taliban take over.
Oh,
We don't know about that situation, but I bought food for my family, everything I bought. At that time, I bought, especially I use the food. To you now, the people are faced with more problems. I bought oil on 1400 Afghani. Now that oil, today my wife told me that they bought that oil on 4,000 Afghani.
wait, it was how much and now it's how much?
Before, when I bought, that was the 1,400,
Right,
and today she bought on 4,000 Afghani.
right. So it's about four times as much.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
about 4 times much. Also, the people are ready to sell their children
Right.
and save other children and get food facility to other children.
Right. The food. People need food. So there is is it that there is no food or that people can't buy it or both?
No, because we don't have import and export.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And which things we have for the food, like they are finished already.
Mm-hmm.
Now people are bringing on different ways, and they are selling on their own rates.
Mm-hmm. So I know when I was there was so much poverty then and danger. People, you know, first of all, I was not on the street except for just coming to and from the airport. Other than that, I was with the group that I stayed with. I stayed right there in the building, and they were like, "You're not walking around the block or anything like that." That was in 2018, and it was not nearly as dangerous as it was still a war zone. But now, even then there were all kinds of problems with the infrastructure, which had not been rebuilt or anything, and violence, which was, very frequent and coming from any direction, either coming from U.S. troops, coming from Taliban, or coming from just random violence. And of course, we know that poverty, and violence both beget more violence. It's very clear. So even then, it was very dangerous and desperate times. And now it is so very much worse. It is What is your family telling you about how they're managing?
My father-in-law is there, and he support my family, but I can't say the location of them
Right.
because
No, no.
I was worked with U.S. Army in
Oh, okay.
Afghanistan. Yes,
Right.
and just I tell you, we lost everything, and I was not unhappy, but I lost my daughter's future.
Right.
They don't have future. They can't go to school. They can't go to buy something. Can't go to market, or they can't play. I have wish for them. I have wish to my one daughter, third daughter. I had wish for her to play cricket for Afghanistan. Uh, I bought bat, ball, everything for her, but everything is remain in our home, and they left the home. When I left Afghanistan, they left the home and they goes to their grandfather home.
Yes. Oh boy. That's so difficult. It's so heartbreaking. And I know, the youth that I know who are there and all their families, they're just very scared, very upset. Some are in danger, some are, and really everybody is suffering, especially with the winter is coming. So what is it like in the winter in Afghanistan? How much of winter do you have?
The winter is 2 months remain.
Is 2 months, you said?
Yes.
Uh-huh. So what months are those and how hard is the winter?
It's January and February is very hard.
It's very hard. So those are the two hardest months,
Yes.
January and February, so which is right now. And the thing is, if people don't have a way to keep warm enough, I know that one of the things that this group I was talking about, this youth group, that what they used to do is we helped them get money to pay seamstresses to make duvets, like they're like comforter or a duvet to give to, and then they would distribute them to families that might otherwise freeze to death in the winter. So they would pay a living wage to these seamstresses, right? So that a living wage, not just in Afghanistan. So it was made on Afghanistan. So the money came from outside to this group, but they distributed the money to women to make, to get a living wage to make duvets, and then the youth distributed them to the people who might otherwise freeze to death in the winter. So we know it's a hard winter, and we know that people have suffered very, very mightily in the winter if they don't have enough money for firewood or, keeping warm in some kind of way. So I'm sure that all of that is, again, much worse because everything is worse because there's no trade, there's no imports coming in, there's no money to pay for things, the infrastructure can't be better, and the infrastructure was already very, very bad. I mean, when I was there, I saw the river. You would hardly call it a river. It was very dry, and it was very much nothing there. So even water, having enough water and having clean water. Could you speak to that, Mohammad?
Yes, ma'am. Um, the people are dear. Uh,
Yes.
our God knows how they are in the winter
Right.
because this very hard. I have very good lifestyle in Afghanistan. I had very good salary. I work with U.S. Army, and I can't uh, control can't uh, fully my family to bought the things for winter like wood. Especially we use wood
Right.
there
Right.
in winter and gas. But the people who don't have job, who don't have money, who don't have any source of income, because in every department now you are going, there is Taliban. Every country seeing the humanitarian help things like blanket, like food, like thing. They divide on their own people, not to Afghan people.
Well,
And nowadays, my that the hardest thing is this that my one friend he has very good life, and yesterday he seen me the picture of uh, his own. He was in market and he has his own shoes on his hand and he wants to sell them and bring something to their family.
wait, to sell what?
His own shoes.
Oh, his own shoes. His own shoes.
Yes. This was yesterday. I crying for 2-3 hours. Just I saw his picture. He has very good life.
Right.
But the people who don't have income, who don't have everything, what they are doing.
Right. 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 So this is somebody who is better off, and even then, they're at desperation, and then for other people, it's even worse. That is where, as people were saying, it's just so heartbreaking. So heartbreaking. Sarah, do you want to say anything about anything you read that struck you more?
I think you mentioned it before, but just what you were saying, how a lot of people are at their ends, just with like how families are selling their youngest children. I watched a lot of videos about that, and they're like, you can't judge me and my family and what we do. We have all these other children that are older, and us we have to support and that we have to feed. There's nothing else that we can do, and this is what I have to do.
Right.
And it's just devastating, but it's the reality of what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I know a lot of people who are very upset about what's going on in Afghanistan. Of course, there are a lot of people who it's just sort of, it was in the news, it was on, for a while, and then it was stopped talking about it. But now what they're saying is that more people may die. Have you heard this, Sameria?
More people may die.
More people may die this winter than died in the whole of the 20-year occupation.
No.
Yeah, that's what they're telling, that it may be. Does that sound right to you, Mohammad? Do you think that's true?
I think I didn't hear about this.
That's one of the things that I heard. But, I mean, I don't know how, how they judge it if that's completely accurate. But there is just such an impending already humanitarian crisis there when people can't eat and they don't have warmth in the winter. So how cold does it get in the winter? Does it get as cold as it is here?
Yes, ma'am. The
Yeah.
Kabul and Buffalo is have same weather.
It's the same weather as we have.
Yes.
Yeah, in the winter. So just imagine if you didn't have heat in the winter. Just imagine. I mean,
Yes.
we can't imagine. And then imagine if you didn't have heat and you didn't have food. And you didn't have money. So it is,
And you don't have hope from your government.
Right. Well, so I want to turn a little bit, and I asked Sarah first, do you want to tell us a little bit about the vigil that's going on today? I'm not
On
today.
Saturday?
I mean on Saturday, that's what I meant.
Sure.
Sorry.
Yeah. The Western New York Peace Center and the Women in Black are holding a vigil just sorry, your watch was talking, in solidarity of all of the events and the crisis that's happening in Afghanistan. So it's going to be on Saturday. And
Right.
what is Saturday? The 12th?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be on the 12th. It's called Love to Afghanistan. And it's going to be is it Bidwell Park?
Yeah, Bidwell Park or Bidwell and Elmwood right there.
Yeah.
Where Bidwell and Elmwood connect. That's Bidwell Park. And noon to when, do you know?
Noon to 1 is
Right.
what it said.
Right. Yeah, that's what it's. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just have a question. Is the Biden administration doing anything to solve the humanitarian crisis? Are there any not peacekeeping forces, but is the UN in any involvement?
So that's a very good question. Now I want to turn it to I do have some answer that I might give, but I want to hear what Mohammad would say first about the U.S. government and the plans. Any plans that you know of to help people in Afghanistan right now?
Yes, ma'am. The Biden government administration start the help, and they seen about $306 million. I thought this they announced, but that money directly goes to Taliban's leaders' accounts because they didn't buy or some food for people or some equipment for the winter. Also, if you saw yesterday or today the news, the Osama bin Laden's oldest son goes to Afghanistan and he meets the Taliban's leader. There is the two different things. From one side, when U.S. government wants to start help with Afghan people, Taliban doing one action or they showing one action that they wants to be far from U.S. government. Like America announced that we will continue our humanitarian helps to Afghan people. Directly, Taliban announced that Osama bin Laden's oldest son is in Afghanistan. Some day before, President Biden announced about one engineer of U.S. citizen who is with Taliban, and tomorrow the Taliban defense minister Maulvi Yaqub, who's the son of Taliban's leader Mullah Muhammad Umar, And Mullah Biradar, the first assistant of Taliban's, they are going to Russia. I don't have any hope to start any humanitarian help and process from the U.S. government because Taliban don't want this. If America start the humanitarian help, America wants to start the education, to start to leave women to the work, and Taliban don't want these things.
Well, I feel like a couple of things. One, some relief would be important. So that we talked about the money supply and we talked about the sanctions. So both of those things cause the people to suffer so much. So, you know, there are, and then the last thing that we didn't mention is increased aid. And as you just mentioned, you know, there has been some aid given recently, a little bit, wasn't there, in January? There was a little bit of aid, but the thing is, there could be, if they, you know, have a third party, and as Sameria was mentioning about giving the UN a role. Honestly, I do not understand and I do not agree with how little the United States really uses the UN when the UN could be our solution to so many things for all of us in the world, where they have the stance and the optic and the personnel and the
Outreach.
and the overriding world community to do outreach, to do, you know, to be an impartial or the most impartial possible to help with negotiations, to help with giving money in such a way that it can go maybe directly to some of the aid groups that are still there. So those are some ways that more money could be put into the economy to help people.
Yes, ma'am. This is the good point because I have a relation with people. All Afghan employee who was worked for UN, Taliban terminate all of them, and they put their own people.
Oh, Well, even if they. Well.
Every aids or help to send money to Afghanistan, that direct goes to Taliban's account, not for the people. And this will be the dangerous in the future.
Well, it's just so difficult. And one of the things I think is when we were there for 20 years, you would have hoped that we could have helped civil society to develop better than it ever did. You know, if we were there for 20 years where we really had a lot of control, it's just such a missed opportunity for people over 20 years to help really help develop what they call civil society, you know, the institutions and that do bring forward, you know, education for all and giving people a voice, giving people an opportunity to learn, to serve, to, you know, even run for things. I mean, there was an election. There have been some elections, although now, you know, I mean, now everything's up in, you know, disarray. Of course, all of that is gone, whatever little there was, but it was very precious little in terms of real change coming over a 20-year period, including to infrastructure and things that wouldn't have been as hard to accomplish.
Ma'am, just I told before that we don't know about the Doha agreement.
Uh-huh.
That therefore we had very good infrastructure of the government. We had very good education infrastructure. If you visit Afghanistan, you must be saw that girls. We had about 4 million girls. They were in schools and universities.
Right.
But after the Qatar or Doha agreement, everything is finished in few months. About in 6 months, everything is finished.
Well, I did see, and I knew go ahead.
And also, one big mistake was that mistake that U.S. government support the Mujahideen, like Dr. Abdullah, Dostam, Atta Muhammad Noor. This was the big mistake of U.S. government, the son of Masood, brother of Masood, son of Rabbani. This was the big mistake of U.S. government. They don't support the government and support the Mujahideen. And Mujahideen doing a two-side game. They got money from U.S. government and work for the Russia and China. This was the big game, big point of the changing of game. We can say the game changer point.
Well, it is very tragic, very difficult, and just so many people suffering so much already, and they've been suffering, but now suffering so much more. It's very, very difficult. So I want to say that we met with Congressman Higgins well, Sarah, you can tell a little about that if you want to just briefly.
Yeah, we met with him and we talked about Afghanistan a little bit, and we asked him, what he was doing about, if he was doing anything about it, but he did mention a bill that they were working on specifically to change the status of refugees coming over here.
Right.
Was the one thing that they were working on, the administration, to give them status because of what they've done to help the U.S. in the past. So that's one of the things they're working on, at least.
That's a big one. And then he also, he understood the difficulty with the money supply and all of that. So that's good. That was good. And Sarah, Sameria, do you want to tell us a little bit about some of the things that you're interested in doing, planning?
Well, I do remember that at our school we had, there's 4 Afghan evacuees coming to Canisius College. So what we did is we raised money for them, and we bought them. We're making gift baskets for them, just like basic things like toothbrush, jackets, things like that.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So we're going to prepare those baskets and hand it out to the 4 evacuees. They're all men that came to Canisius College.
Well, wonderful. I think that's so great.
Thanks.
Yes. Well, we thank you too. We thank you. Mohammad thanks you. I'm sure they will thank you.
How do I say it again?
Tashakur. Tashakur. And we have, we'll have this gathering for with Women in Black and the Western New York Peace Center, and anybody who wants to join us to Vigil on this coming Saturday, Saturday the 12th, I should say. This is also going to be, we will have already had it. I can say that's a regular Women in Black Vigil. People can come any Saturday, every Saturday. In fact, that Women in Black Vigil for nonviolence has been going on in that spot since 2002 or so, for every single Saturday for all those years. So there's signs already there. If you want to bring your own sign, you're welcome. Or there are signs there, and people can just come and vigil for nonviolence any Saturday from noon to 1. That is always going on. People are welcome to do that. And in the meanwhile, we want people to urge President Biden. You can call that. Actually, it's so shocking that they've decreased the time that you can call the White House comment line. So the White House comment line, it's on the Western New York Peace Center website. I think it's 245 1111, I believe. But anyway, you can double check it. But they're only open on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 11 to 3. Now, if that isn't a good way of telling us we don't want to hear from you, I don't know what it is. But anyway, you could still call them or write them and tell them that the Afghan people need relief in whatever form we can give it. And so when we are going to vigil for them, we're going to speak out for them and urge our government to help. Because one of the reasons it's in such a bad shape now is just everything that has come before. So it's not, quite, it's a lot of things that need to be done differently to at least provide some relief for the people so that they can eat, so that they can be warm, and use our intermediaries. And that means the UN, So even if the UN, if Taliban puts their people in as representatives, the UN still has its own people, and it has its own peacekeeping force and everything. So the UN may have a role, especially in helping to distribute things. So I'm going to ask you, as you're hearing all of this from us, and as we're hearing so much from you, to just give us some final thoughts as we're coming around on the towards the end of the time. I want to give it to you first, and then we'll just have final words from everybody. So, Mohammad, what would you want us to remember and do to help?
Just I want from Biden administration to save the people of Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
This is my word, and I can't say everything, other things, but just I want from administration to save our people. We also have the right to live like other people.
Right.
Yes.
Of course. That's right. That is right. That's the first human right, the right to life.
Yes.
So, and Sarah, something from you?
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree with that. The right to life. Just wrapping up, I just think it's important to just advocate and educate whoever we can on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Just because something I noticed is that I was talking with my friends and family this week about everything I've learned, and just after speaking with like the congressman as well. Mm-hmm. And they had no idea what was going on. So I think just informing everyone around us, because we might think everyone knows, but everyone does not know. So just staying educated and educating the people around us.
Thank you. That's so good. And also, I want to say, Sarah also wrote something up that is on the Western New York Peace Center website that is about Afghanistan and what's going on there. Has some references there that people might want to check out. So thank you, Sarah. And lastly, Sameria.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, it's just crazy to me because this war has been going on since even before I was born, and now that the U.S. has withdrawn, it's still the Taliban is in control, but there's still no peace. Like, there's no war, but it's still no peace because people are still suffering, and it's horrible.
It is.
Yeah, and I just hope that the dreams of his daughters can be restored one day, that they can still have hope for their dreams in the future. Yeah.
So sweet. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you all so
Thank
much.
you.
So we will be in prayer. We will be vigil. We hope that you can join us when we vigil any Saturday, this Saturday, next Saturday. We come out to Women in Black. And meanwhile, we just work for the world that we need, you know, and just try to make it happen. So we've been talking peace. This is Talking Peace, and we've been talking peace in truth and love. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mohammad. I know that must have been very hard. I know it is very